I'm holding a football and I'm confused. John?
Well, Cal, welcome to the Cal Cave. This is where it's all going to happen, guy. The hard issues, hot topics, everything. And today, we're not talking about Nigeria. We're not talking about ISIS. We're not talking about terrorism. We're going to talk about football, the Super Bowl.
The Cal Cave. I'll take it any way I can get it. Ronnie, roll it. The numbers are in, and it was the most watched TV event in U.S. history. Between 116 and 120 million people watched, and this is a country where you can't get 116 million people to agree on anything. But we're here today because the game has gone beyond the borders of the United States. It's seeping into social media, where our Andrew Palczewski lives. He's going to get to that in a minute. According to the numbers, the initial numbers, more than 265 million interactions took place on social media. I have no idea what that means. He will. What I do know is that it's expected that over 1 billion people watched the game on Sunday, which is roughly the audience size of this show. And with all its pageantry front and center, a new business paradigm has emerged. More on that in a minute. But first, what's been trending? Andrew's been tracking that.
Thanks very much, Cal. The game is history, but people online are still talking about it. Here are the top 3 things we're seeing on Facebook, Twitter, and our other social media sites. Number 1, Malcolm Butler. Know the name. He's the breakout star of the Super Bowl. The 24-year-old rookie saved the game for the Patriots with a late interception, sealing their victory over the Seahawks, which was all but assured until he made that play. Number 2, the TV commercials, from candy to computer games to cars. These ads had people laughing, cringing, and talking, and we'll be talking about them and looking at some of them in a bit. And number 3, pop star Katy Perry. Her halftime show, the outfits, they're still creating major buzz days afterwards. We'll be looking at her a little bit as well. Cal?
Thank you very much, Andrew. We have 2 fantastic guests today, 2 people very much in the know. Here in our Washington studio, Diana Rossini.
Pass the ball over to you. Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you so much. And in New York, we have Laura Lyons-Cole. She's from TheStreet.com. You can also check out her website, which is LaurenLyonsCole.com. Let me start with you, Diana. Just give me your sort of... You watched the Super Bowl. What was your takeaway? What was the thing that stuck out? Was it the end of the game?
Absolutely. I think that's the only thing. Everyone forgets all the great plays that happened. Think about all the different catches. Remember, everyone was talking about, hardball, right? Where everyone was talking about that wide receiver making the Chris Matthews catch there. But really, at the end, it all came down to that one play, which we all know. I think if Pete Carroll could do it all over again, he would have ran the ball instead of passing. But it was a low risk play there. He thought that would work. The numbers showed that it would go or at least work to their advantage. But as it turned out, it didn't, and left the Seahawks flying home losers.
Yeah, and Pete Carroll, who's the coach of the Seattle Seahawks, obviously is being eviscerated. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just being creamed on sort of media about this. Before we get to the play, and we do have a clip of the play. We're not going to run it yet. I want to run, there's an ad that Snickers ran. Let's start to get into the advertising, because I want to get Lauren to weigh in on some of the ad dollars that were involved. Take a look at this ad from... Okay, before we get to the ad, Lauren, jump on in. Let me ask you this question. NBC, which carried the game, the network that Diana lives on, I'm sure that was nice to have, but yes. The network itself was selling advertisements 30 seconds for $4.5 million. Is that worth it?
Well, when you do the math, the $4.5 million ad breaks down to about 4 cents, a little under 4 cents per viewer. So for a lot of companies, that is absolutely worth it. And there's also this element of, you pay to play. It shows that you're really there to get your brand out there so that you're really well known. So there's a lot of reasons that companies want to pay that kind of money.
All right, we have that Snickers ad. We'll go ahead and take a look at that now.
Marcia, what happened?
Peter hit me in the nose with a football. I can't go to the dance like this.
Well, I'm sure it was an accident, sweetheart.
An eye for an eye. That's what Dad always says.
I never said that, honey.
Shut up! Time to teach Peter a lesson.
Marcia, eat a Snickers.
Why?
You get a little hostile when you're hungry. Better? Better.
Marcia.
Jan, this isn't about you.
It never is.
All right, you can see there the U.S. is very good at bringing its pop culture to the world. I want to get back just for a minute to the X's and O's. Mm-hmm. We have 2 plays that we've got standing by. The first is that reception that took place just before that sort of goal line stance. Go ahead and take a look. This was the sort of immaculate reception that took place.
That would have been the play everyone was talking about. Perhaps maybe even the MVP conversation would have been had or surrounding Pierce there, but the next play is what actually.
So this was the moment that I declared to my wife the game was over, that Seattle was going to win, and then just 2 plays later. Was it 2 plays later or was it the next play?
It was the next play.
The next play. Okay, take a look. This is the play that people are saying right now gave the Super Bowl away. Take a look.
All the way down. They're bleeding it right down to half a minute. 2nd and goal. Baldwin sets up on the left. Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal.
Diana Rossini is sitting watching the Super Bowl. That happens, and what did you do?
My initial reaction is run the ball, give it to beast mode. Right. The guy has had a phenomenal game. Let him just cross over to 1 yard. It's 1 yard. It's a touchdown. It's a sure thing. But looking back on it now and calling a couple coaches in the NFL saying, what would you have done? Almost every single coach that I've spoken to has said the same thing, which is that was actually the smart play to do in that situation. They had their goal line stand defense out, the Patriots. You had the big guys versus the short guys.
You had the matchup.
The matchup was perfect. It was really a low-risk pass there and a high success rate. And it just didn't
It wasn't
work out.
Executed, right?
It just wasn't. Exactly. And they did their homework. The Patriots did their homework. They saw what was coming, and they were ready for it. And Malcolm Butler, you know, a guy that was working at Popeyes 5 years ago, went to a D2 school, goes on and becomes the hero of the Super Bowl. And this is what makes the Super Bowl so great, and this is why so many people love watching this, because you never know.
And he's becoming a storyline from it. Lauren,
Yeah.
if you're Snickers, and we just saw that ad, the lead into this game was pretty absurd. There was talk about deflated footballs. There was so much drama surrounding this game. That has to be a dream for the advertisers, right?
Well, and beyond that, I mean, this is the one time that people actually pay closer attention to the commercials than to what's going on. In fact, viewership spikes a little bit every time the commercials play. So if you're a company who's looking for eyeballs on your ads, this is the time to do it.
And there's so much advertising that comes on the back of this. You mentioned a little bit. I mean, so many of these companies actually released their ads online this time before the game started. That was very unusual.
Right. Well, and then you get the social media interaction. People are voting on Twitter. You see things trending. And like Nationwide was trending, I saw right after the game. So there's a lot of it continues to pay back. So it's not just the ad. It's people keep watching it.
Were you going to jump in?
Oh, no, I was going to say, I think for the advertisers, it's so smart to put their money at this moment, like she pointed out. So many people are tuning in just for the commercials. How many people that don't even like football watch the Super Bowl? This is something that brings everybody together. It's not just for sports fans, which is why I think you saw a lot of the advertisers have that tone with how they chose to advertise their product. Nothing really was sports related,
right?
Which I'm sure we're going to talk about. How
and we are.
How it felt more like Father's Day than it did the Super Bowl.
That was one of the sort of running themes. This was sort of the dad Super Bowl, which made me very happy. And we are going to talk about exactly that, and that's actually what we're going to talk about next. The NFL, and this was the conversation we had before the show. The ratings are huge, but now basically 1 billion people are watching it overseas once a year. These people are not sort of in that daily conversation that you and I are. I get in my car in the morning, I turn on the radio, and I hear about the NFL nonstop. People here don't. I know John is in my ear. He's telling me it's time for a short break. We'll be right back with more on exactly this, Super Bowl 49.
I'm Sonny Young from the sunny side of sports, and this is VOA. Follow us on Africa 54. Go to facebook.com/VOA Africa 54.
You're watching #VOA with Cal Perry.
With the next pick in the first draft ever, Australia selects the kangaroo.
Yes. I like that pick. Get up, hops, jump, vertical.
Brazil selects the sloth.
Off the field issues. Not a locker room guy.
The United States selects wheat.
Wheat.
Madagascar selects lemur. China Ginkgo biloba. Botswana selects the zebra. Uh-oh. And with the next pick, we have a trade. Mauritius has traded for the dodo bird. And Mexico selects...
Beach. The avocado!
Great pick. That makes a ton of sense. Rich volcanic soil.
Welcome back. I'm Cal Perry. That was my favorite ad from Super Bowl 49, especially the polar bear hoping to go to the beach. That was one for avocados from Mexico, so go figure. Please do share your comments at #VOA. Now, the Super Bowl ads, and I want to get to Andrew real quick. What was the most popular sort of ad that you heard about on social media?
There were so many that people talked about, but across the board, the one that kind of tugged at the heartstrings was the Budweiser ad. You had this lost dog and this guy searching for his lost dog, and then the famous Budweiser Clydesdales, those big horses that are so synonymous with Budweiser, kind of guide the dog back and defend him against a coyote, and this farmer is reunited with his dog. And that really pulled at people's heartstrings. They really had a lot to say about that on social media.
Yeah, and Budweiser's been a longtime sponsor of the NFL. It's kind of become like a historical, these ads with
Absolutely.
the dogs.
People look forward to it.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
I miss the frogs, though.
The frogs have gone away. I do remember the frogs. Not all the ads were about fun and were about football. Now, this season, the league found itself in the middle of several domestic violence and potential child abuse cases involving players. I watch the games at home with my daughter. She's 6 years old now, so this is kind of how I wanted to set this topic up. She's 6, and every year that I watch the games with her, she gets a little bit older. She starts to figure out what's going on. And I think this is sort of the problem that the NFL has. It's a big problem for the league. And this year, the NFL partnered with a group, No More, to send a message about this very important issue of domestic abuse, and they did so on their biggest stage. Take a look.
911, operator 901. Where's the emergency?
127 Brynmere.
Okay, what's going on there?
I'd like to order a pizza for delivery.
Ma'am, you've reached 911. This is an emergency line.
Large with half pepperoni, half mushroom.
You know you've called 911. This is an emergency
Do you
line.
know how long it'll be?
Okay, ma'am, is everything okay over there? Do you have an emergency or not?
Yes.
And you're unable to talk because...
Right.
Is there someone in the room with you? Just say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay, it looks like I have an officer about a mile from your location. Are there any weapons in your house?
No.
Can you stay on the phone with me?
No. See you soon. Thank you.
Let me introduce our guest again, Diana Rossini. She's the sports anchor for NBC4 here in Washington. And from New York, Lauren Lyons-Cole from TheStreet.com. It's a powerful ad.
It's very powerful. I mean, that's sending a message to the NFL. That's sending a message to every single person watching that. It actually gives you a reaction.
Does it send the message that the NFL is sort of taking this seriously? Because, I mean, this ad played just before halftime, actually, just before Katy Perry went on. It was kind of a prime slot.
Mm-hmm. I think it's crucial. This has been a really difficult season for the NFL off the field. In terms of business, it's the best it's ever been. But the issues off the field, Ray Rice, we saw this.
Let me actually just quickly, because I apologize, especially to many of our international viewers. They've probably seen that video. Ray Rice, running back for the Baltimore Ravens, is in an elevator with his fiancée and is seen punching her in the face. And that really started this conversation.
Mm-hmm. Well, what started the conversation was not only just the fact that this was captured on video, but the fallout afterwards, the lack of punishment that we initially saw from the Baltimore Ravens and from the NFL. So now here, the NFL has a problem on their hands where people have a visual of seeing domestic abuse. And it really started conversations outside football. This is why I think this became a really big part of 2014 even, because it's forcing conversations. I think a lot of people did not realize how prominent, or at least how domestic abuse is really a problem, not just in the NFL, but really across America, across the world. We're seeing this happen.
Yeah. Lauren, these advertisers, and this was a 90-second ad, so the NFL is obviously trying to show that it's taken it seriously. What did you think about the ad? I mean, how did it play in with the other ads that were out there?
watching the ad what exactly they were trying to convey. And so it really, I mean, it draws an emotional response for the viewer. And I think that's important because so many viewers, you know, they love football. The Super Bowl is a day to get together. Everybody's eating and it's fun. But the important thing to remember is that, you know, you can't just compartmentalize like the Ray Rice scandal. Can we celebrate players who are also behind closed doors doing such violent acts to women? And so I think this ad did a good job of sort of conveying to the viewer, this is serious. I mean, because like it makes my heart race watching it. It's scary. And I think that that's a positive thing, a step in the right direction.
There's another conversation to be had here about player safety. And Roger Goodell, he's the commissioner of the National Football League, who makes $44 million a year, and he come under a lot of fire for that. This new contract, 10 years, $300 million, I think was sort of the exact numbers. And the player safety issue is one that he's had to address, and I don't think the international community is there yet. There's talk about a franchise in London. But does the NFL have to address this before they go internationally, do you think?
Oh, I definitely think so. I think there is a lot of pressure on Roger Goodell. Look at all the issues here that he has to deal with here, and they're all very unique. That's the thing. I think a lot of people, especially NFL fans, they want to see change, but each of these issues have to be dealt with individually. There's not just one broad way to solve all this, which is why I think Roger Goodell has had a lot of pressure put on him.
Is that fair? Is it fair to put all that pressure on Goodell?
It's his job.
Yeah.
I don't really think it's necessarily about fairness. I just think there needs to be some sort of plan in place here in dealing with this, because I would not, if I was to grade Roger Goodell on how he handled all these different issues this season with the NFL, domestic abuse, player safety. I mean, if you think about it, player safety was the biggest issue going into the season, and it's sort of lost traction because there have been so many other things that have had, or at least piled on top of it.
Suicides were a huge issue going into this season because of the head traumas, right?
And 2 years ago and 3 years, that's actually been a consistent theme in the NFL over the years, but not as much. But we've seen change, though, there. There has definitely been protocol in place. You know, we've seen it on the sidelines. I see it when I'm covering the Washington Redskins here in town. There's definitely protocol now versus 2 or 3 years ago. They weren't as strict with head injuries. Now players are being taken out.
You deal with these players on a day-to-day basis. This issue of domestic violence, the issue of child discipline. Is this known to them as sort of front and center?
In terms of, do they think that they're the only ones dealing with this?
No, but they realize that people are looking to them to sort of...
Yeah. I think that's part of playing any sport in front of the world like this. I think they know that all eyes are on them, but I think it's really unfair, though, to think that these issues are only happening in the NFL. That is the one part of this that I think is unfair to the athletes, because what it is doing, it is shedding light. That's the positive. But now it's about education, prevention. Now that it's in the spotlight.
Lauren, you've spent time studying domestic violence, and I would like your take on sort of that. I mean, are we looking in the wrong place when we're talking about cultural values?
In terms of supporting the players over the women?
No, in terms of, are we expecting too much from our sports stars?
Oh,
like, are we expecting them to be the role models when we don't really know them, right?
I don't even know if it's so much about being a role model as it is about just treating another human being the way they deserve to be treated. I mean, whether you're playing football or working in an office, I think not knocking out your fiance, now wife, is probably the best.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said it in such a straightforward manner. Let me get to Andrew. There's viewer comments standing by. We always want to hear from our viewers.
Yeah.
Give us what you got.
Yeah, let's take a look at actually what some of our viewers are saying right now about the Super Bowl on our social media pages, which I have up here right in front of me. First, Ricardi Lino writes on Facebook, the American people know how to make a great event. A Brazilian shocker should learn from that, which is pretty high praise from South America. On Twitter, Usama was eager to see the spectacular advertisements, writing, I don't even know who's playing. I just want to see the creative production of commercials, which is a sentiment a lot of people express. And then there was Tom, who clearly expected the Patriots to lose, writing, New England doesn't have a prayer. Unfortunately for him, that wasn't the case thanks to another Tom Brady, the quarterback of the New England Patriots, brought his team to victory. As always, we want to keep hearing from you. Follow us on Twitter at #VOA and visit us and like our Facebook page at facebook.com/#VOA. Keep sending your thoughts, comments, and questions, and we'll be responding to them. We'll be right back after this break.
I'm Eric Felton from Beyond Category. This is VOA. Follow us online at voanews.com.
You're watching #VOA with Cal Perry.
Welcome back to #VOA. I'm Cal Perry. That was Katy Perry. I love that our producers have put in the teleprompter, no relation. I don't think anyone for a second thought there was, but that's fine. Yeah, exactly. I want to get back to Lauren in New York. Lauren Lyons-Cole from TheStreet.com is with us. Lauren, how did Katy Perry do just from a PR standpoint, just from a big standpoint?
Oh, I mean, Katy Perry drew. The halftime show got the most views out of anything else, I mean, except for the very end of the game. But Katy Perry did a great job. She was a great choice, just as far as getting eyes. And interestingly, they were also doing the Visa able to purchase during the halftime show. So that was a new thing that they were trying.
What did you think?
I loved it. I think it was great. It's exactly what the Super Bowl needed. I mean, the hype surrounding it, and I think she lived up to it and had everybody talking. I felt like more people were definitely tweeting and Facebook messaging more about Katy Perry's performance than any of the X's and O's on the game.
Yeah, and then it's funny because you have moments like the two sharks, which we saw the picture of, dancing behind her. That drew a huge social media response because it looked like one of the guys forgot the dance move. So it's like
doing
little
his
things,
own thing.
little things like that. It's so funny how those little moments can bring even more publicity, other than the performance and the spectacle of it all. Something just silly like that.
There's a psychological aspect to it where they know how to penetrate the minds of the 6, the 7, the 8, the 9-year-old boys and girls who are in the room. I mean, this is the point at which my daughter paid attention to the game. And it was well timed because then I think everybody puts their kids to bed right when she's done. I'm sorry. Okay, Andrew, you had a party.
Yes.
And one of the things that America exports is not just the sport. We seem to export food.
Yeah, we can't talk about the Super Bowl without talking about the food because that's a huge aspect with people having parties and things. So I want to roll some video I think we have. If we can throw that up there. This is a time-lapse video of 7-layer dip. Now, all these things are... I guess kind of, you'd call them like Mexican foods, avocado, as we saw the commercial from avocados from Mexico, refried beans, the Mexican cheese, that kind of stuff. But what people in America do is they take these things and they stack them on top of each other and they make this kind of amalgamation of deliciousness, as I told you earlier, of, the 7-layer tip where it's all these things combined together.
It's the amalgamation of deliciousness that I appreciate the most. I'm going to cut you off because not only are we short on time, but there was an ad by Weight Watchers that pretty much sums up what this show wanted to talk about for the last 27 minutes. And also, I think one of America's greatest exports is we do everything really, really big. Take a look at the Weight Watchers ad.
Hey, want to get baked? Glazed, iced, fried. How much do you want? An eighth? Quarter? How about a half? Come on, I got poppers, fizzes, whippers, whiz bangs, whatever you want. And coming down is gonna be rough. You're gonna need an upper. Go ahead, treat yourself. It's a special occasion. Just have a taste. Cooked it up special for you. I know you're gonna love it. And guess what? If you buy more, I'll cut you a deal. It's a social thing. Just want you to have a good time. No one's telling you what to do. You're in control. You can stop whenever you want. Well, sorta. I mean, you gotta eat, right?
I think it's fantastic. Lauren in New York, give me your thoughts. I mean, we've gotten to the point now where we can make fun of ourselves really well, right?
I love that commercial. I think it's hilarious. And, it really does speak to the Super Bowl. Americans spent $12 to $14 billion on food and TVs for the Super Bowl. So clear, it's like the supersized Super Bowl. We're definitely willing to put our dollars there. And, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but that's what's happening. So.
Well, let me ask you, we have Black Friday. Do we need to create a new holiday? Honestly, do we need to create a new holiday in this country?
Supersized Sunday, Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's just the sort of thing, consumers just need to know going into it, can they afford to spend on these sorts of things? I mean, you don't want to stretch your budget too far because, money is a limited resource. So if you spend too much on the Super Bowl, that means less later on in the month. So let's not go Black Friday on this.
Okay.
The holiday should be Nat Monday after the Super Bowl,
right,
where we all just take off from work and sleep all day.
Well, this is the thing, is that on Monday, it's not exactly attendance high, right?
Yeah,
at work.
I would love to know what the stat is of people that call out on the Monday after, because there is such high amounts of drinking and high amounts of eating there. So I think people the next day are just exhausted because it really is an all-day event. I mean, it starts early in the morning. The pregame coverage goes all the way through, and a lot of people want to see the commercials even during the day because even those are high viewership because there are so many people watching.
And this year I noticed that actually the NFL did their honors show, right, on Saturday. So it was like you could make a weekend out of it. If you wanted to, you could spend the weekend with NFL.
Exactly. And the build-up to it even. I mean, you have those 2 weeks before and then all the drama beforehand about Deflategate with the New England Patriots,
right,
possibly letting out some air pressure in their football. So there was definitely a lot of drama that engaged people that they wanted to see what was going to happen.
And you look at sorry, Cal, I just want to say, you look at along the same lines, the media coming together the week before the Super Bowl, that gets so many tweets and reactions on Facebook and social media that it's not even part of the game. It's just for the press to come and interview the players, and that becomes a huge social media storm. So even that is part of a week, 2 weeks.
That have played in the Super Bowl, and they all say that we make the Super Bowl. We build the hype. We make it bigger than what it is. For them, it really is X's and O's. It's just another game to them. After they get past the first 10 minutes of the hoopla during that pregame, it goes right back to just playing football.
And this one's got to be gut-wrenching. I mean, if you're a Seattle Seahawk today...
if you're a Seattle Seahawk fan,
right,
I think the fans take this stuff always a little bit harder than the actual players. I know I have really good friends out in Seattle. Sports Talk Radio is filled with callers just saying, why not run the ball? Why did you pass that ball?
We are running a little bit short on time. We've got about 2 more minutes left. I want to get predictions, and I'm not going to get your sort of normal predictions. Lauren in New York, I'm going to ask you, next year's Super Bowl, will it have more or less than 114 million viewers? That was roughly how many people watched it this year?
More.
More. Okay. So she did. I mean, that was like the easiest question ever.
I think it's growing. It's not something that's losing interest. If anything, it's building interest. I think more men, more women are becoming football fans.
Let me ask you, will we see a franchise in London in the next 5-10 years?
Yes, I definitely think so. I think it's catching on. We're seeing it in Australia.
Yeah.
I think the fact that the NFL is playing games over in London right now is just going to keep building interest. And that's exciting to think about what it could be.
Is the most likely contender for that the Jacksonville franchise? Because they're already playing there. I mean, I only say that because they're already playing the games in London.
Yeah, I think we're still too early to say how that's going to work. But all teams play over in London early in the season. I'm not sure how they're going to figure out how that would work. But I'd be interested to see if there could be an NFL, a league like that over in Europe to play football, not our soccer.
And we're talking about an industry that right now makes about $10 billion. They're hoping to triple that in about the next 10 to 15 years. I want to thank our guests, especially Diana Rossini, thank you so much for being here. And Laura Lyons-Cole up in New York. Please do check out her website. You can see all her media appearances there. In the meantime, visit our website, voanews.com. Please tweet us your comments on behalf of the entire team. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.